Three, two, one. What's up, people? This is Yashatishay, and welcome back to Learnings from the Screen. Today with me is Rithik Nair. He is my co-founder. He is a good friend, and he's an actor. He is, most importantly, my financial advisor, which I shouldn't forget. And you tell people. Why am I telling you? Tell.
Okay, so yeah, I've been knowing Yash for quite a long while.
Excuse me. Doing Yash as in
I've been knowing
that sounded really wrong. We don't do each other.
Acha, okay. So yeah, so I've been knowing Yash for quite a while, and you know, the skills that he has, that is something that I admire quite a lot.
Okay,
You know,
thank you.
It's too
You're
good.
supposed to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Buttering me is a good idea, but
Acha. So yeah, I'm Rithik and I'm co-founder of Learn, and today we are going to talk about the movie The Godfather.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Godfather today. You tell me, when did you first see Godfather? Like, a lot of people have seen when they were kids, and they have a lot of connection, they have a lot of story. Do you have something like that?
So yeah, so the first time I wanted to see Godfather was when my friend's dad told me that Godfather is the only book which is as good as the movie.
Okay.
So I had already read the book.
Okay.
And now I wanted to read them. I wanted to see the movie. So then I downloaded it, and then I, watched it in a single stretch. And also, I had also heard Barack Obama say in one of his interviews that Godfather is his favorite movie.
Oh, okay. Barack
So
Obama.
that's what prompted me to watch The Godfather.
Wow. So how old were you then?
I was around, I guess, 16. I was around 16.
Yeah, it makes sense, why you related the book first, because he is a bookworm, you're a huge bookworm.
Yeah,
How many books have you read so far? A zillion.
Approximately around 200 to 250.
Wow. That's a lot of books.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider he's really, really young. How old are you? 20, 21 something?
21 would be
21.
22 in September. Yes.
Yeah, so he's 21 and he has read 200 books. So that's just a lot of books, to be honest. Wow. So when you saw this movie when you were 16, what is something that what is the most impactful thing then? Like, what is something that just stuck with you then?
So first of all, I should say when I saw the movie at 16, I didn't find anything special in that, because I was used to watching melodramatic Bollywood and Tollywood movies, so I didn't quite appreciate the good aspects of the Godfather movie. So I watched it twice after that, and the next time I watched when I was, I guess, 19 or 20.
Okay.
So at that time I just loved it. I just loved it like anything.
Okay.
And then afterwards, when I was 21 or so, I forgot the story, so I watched it again.
Okay.
So the one story or the one incident which really stuck with me was when Don Carolioni's son is killed, Sonny.
Okay.
When Sonny is killed. So being the Don that he is, being the powerful man that he is with all his resources, he could have just chosen to kill his enemies, or start go on a rampage, start killing each and everyone who is in some or the other way responsible for his son's death. But instead, what he chose to do was he called a meeting of all the Dons.
The five families.
Yeah, all the 5 families of New York, 5 Italian families, and chose to make a truce. And that's what he did with the other Dons. I don't remember the names, Barzini, and there was one more Don. There's a good scene where they hug each other.
I remember.
That instead of reacting compulsively, he chose to make the most sensible and wise decision. That has stuck with me.
Makes sense. So when did you read the book?
I read the book when I was 13 or 14.
Wow.
My physics, my class teacher recommended that to me.
Oh my god.
And she used to teach physics, and all of a sudden, someone in the class asked her, "What's your favorite book?" And she said, "The Godfather."
Oh.
So I thought,
Amazing.
why not give it a try?
So since you have read so many books, which is your favorite book? Let's say.
I can't. I see. It depends on the genre. It totally depends on the. See, because in fiction, I could go for it is between The Kite Runner or A Thousand Splendid Suns. So these both are books written by Khalid Hosseini,
Okay.
and it's quite. It brings out the emotions in the reader. I mean, that's what I can say about the book, because I don't quite remember the story. Very vaguely I remember the story, but I can for sure say that the book was really impactful and really powerful book. And in non-fiction, non-fiction as in finance, you could say it's The Making of an American Capitalist.
Okay.
It's a book written by Roger Lowenstein. It's a biography of Warren Buffett.
Oh.
Very detailed biography. So there's no particular favorite book, but in two different genres, these are my favorite books.
Oh, okay. Wow. So coming back to The Godfather and your physics teacher, was she a bomb?
No,
No?
she was not.
Well, then you didn't go to good school, bro. What were you doing in school?
I didn't view her that way, but she was a very sweet teacher.
Coming back, I, to be honest, only saw Godfather last week because I was preparing for the podcast. To be honest, like I have heard a zillion times about The Godfather from a zillion different people, and never actually got around watching it. I have downloaded it multiple times. Even got as far as watching, the movie starts at the wedding scene, right?
Yeah.
I've seen probably the first 20-30 minutes
Okay.
4 times or 5 times, but never got around finishing the movie. So last week I finally sat down and I finished the movie in 2 sittings with my diary at hand because I wanted to write down for the podcast.
So which was the most influential scene or the scene which you liked the most in the movie?
Wow. That is quite difficult to point out because there are so many brilliant scenes in the movie, to be honest. I think one of my favorite has to be when Michael, the younger son of Don Carolioni, goes to see his doctor in the hospital, goes to see his dad in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he notices there is no policeman, there is no detectives, there is no protection there. There's no one. Okay. That's a suspense scene. He figures out, even you figure out that something bad is going to happen. Somebody's going to try to kill Don Carolioni. And he figures out that as well. So there is a suspense build up. But unlike modern movies shot in 2019, 2020, there's no digital camera. I'm guessing the movie was shot on film because back then a lot of movies were. And even the texture of the movie, the whole thing looks like it is shot on film. Now I could be wrong. I haven't researched it yet. But it seems like a movie shot on the film. So back then I'm sure there wasn't enough technology to pull off a lot of things which are done today. So in order to build suspense today, the lights would flicker, the camera's frame rate would go down drastically, would make the footage look slightly choppier, the music would go high, things like that. The whole color palette, the whole tint of the scene, so to speak, would change. I'm not sure, but I think those things were not possible or not that easy back then using a film camera. So you see the suspense that is built is purely authentic. It comes from really great storytelling. Doesn't come from the lights, doesn't come from the camera, doesn't come from the music. The lights do not flicker. In the hospital, the lights do not flicker because in real life, lights won't flicker. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So, in that scene, suspense is built through good storytelling and good clues, visual hints. Things like there's a cup of coffee which is hot. You can see some vapors coming out of the cup. The coffee is that hot, but there's nobody sitting on the table. So such things. Amazing storytelling, amazing visual clues dabbed all over the scene.
Even when I read about the director Francis Ford Coppola, so it was mentioned that he almost scripted, each and every scene, to the minutest detail.
Okay.
Maybe the only, like as per my knowledge, the only part where the scene had to be improvised was in the initial scene when I don't remember his name, the funeral guy when he talks to Don Corleone, he requests Don Corleone to do something so that his daughter gets justice.
Yeah,
there's a scene when the
right.
cat jumps onto Don Corleone's lap. And
He starts playing with the cat?
He starts playing with the cat. So
you mean that was improvised?
That was improvised. That was not part of the script. The cat just abruptly jumps onto...
Makes sense now that you think of it. Because nobody can get a cat to do anything. That's how cats are. They're like,
But then I wondered...
You want me to jump into Don Corleone's lap? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck Don Corleone. Fuck lap.
Then I wondered if the script was so, detailed, then why did the director allow the cat to be on the set on the first place? But, it must have come from somewhere.
Yeah, makes sense, But again, actually, I wrote in my notes that I love Don Corleone. That is where I started loving him. I'm like, man, you're the man. Because he loves cats. Everyone should love cats. I don't know. I'm a huge cat person. I love cats. So I was got impressed with him when I saw that he had a pet cat. But anyhow, the scenes are very well thought through. In fact, you're saying that this guy scripted everything. The scenes were scripted to the minutest details.
Yeah, not only the script, even the characters. So even the characters, what I found peculiar is there is no scene of Michael Corleone where, of course, there are I guess one or two with Kay Adams, with his first wife.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Michael.
It's not his wife; it's his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I guess it's his girlfriend. He gets married.
No, she's
later.
the one who is in Italy, or the one in.
No. Italy one was Apollonia.
Okay.
Italy one was Apollonia, who dies in the car blast.
Yeah. So she's just his girlfriend. He gets married, I think, towards the very end or something like that.
Yeah, towards the end.
Not sure. Yeah.
Towards it. So one or two times he just gets angry at her when she threatens that she would take away the kids from him and things like that. But otherwise, he has been a calm, a very very focused individual of that sort. But it is shown in the film very very perfectly that he is extremely ruthless. So first it is shown in the scene where he kills Solozo and the police inspector. And the other one was the least expected because after the truce created by Don Corleone, the entire Sicilian, the mob, the mafia, they expected the truce to continue. But what Michael Corleone did, as soon as he took the throne after his father's death, was he killed all the enemies. And it was so well planned,
perfectly executed. Nobody had the time to even process what just happened. Forget rebound and forget take an action. I know.
Yeah, and that shows how ruthless he is without even showing, without even emphasizing on that person's outbursts or anything. Just keeping him as a silent and intensely focused character, his ruthlessness is shown.
In fact, he is. I feel that he's the more scarier character. The reason being, you never know what is going on in his head.
Yeah. And in contrast, Sonny, his elder brother.
I actually can empathize a lot with Sonny. Sonny, I don't know.
Sonny Corleone, yeah. He's very aggressive. He gets triggered at every little thing, especially in the starting scene. He goes out of the gate and he, throws away the photographer's camera, and then he throws
the cash on his face
with disrespect and things like that. So he is shown as very aggressive, but yes, he dies midway.
Yeah, true that. In fact, coming back to some of my notes that I've written, I think a general rule of thumb,
It's okay.
in filmmaking is you always start with a wide angle establishing shot.
Okay.
An establishing shot in the beginning of a movie, a beginning of a TV show, beginning of a scene, a beginning of even something like a social media video that we do. We generally start with a wide angle shot to give the viewer some spatial awareness, to give them an idea of where the scene is being played. Godfather takes that rule and shoves it up at us. Godfather movie starts with an extreme close-up of this funeral guy.
Funeral guy. Yeah.
And as he keeps talking, the frame gets wider and wider and wider, and the camera is placed right behind Don Corleone's shoulder.
Yeah, right side to the right.
Yeah, on the right side. Yes. It plays, I think, a great role.
And even Don Corleone is not completely visible.
Oh, that is another brilliant thing.
It's I don't know, silhouette or something like that.
Yeah. So I think one of the reasons why the movie started, the framing is done in a way, it is an extreme close-up at the start and then it zooms out, is because it wants us to pay all the attention to this guy's problem. When that's how viewers' attention goes. The more space something takes in the frame, the more attention he will have from the viewer. Okay. So since it's an extreme close-up of his face, he has our full attention. But then as the frame gets wider and wider, the filmmaker wants us to pay more attention to Don Corleone, to other things present in the room, to show that, you're empathizing with this guy, but he's just some small person, not that significant, not that important in the grand schema of things. Yeah, so I think that is the reason why they broke the law, that they broke the rule. I won't call it breaking the law, but I think it is very rare. It's so rare, in fact, I cannot think of another example where a movie started with a close-up shot.
Okay.
Sometimes scenes do, for various reasons, to make the viewer a little disoriented, to make viewer a little scared maybe. But very rarely the whole movie starts with a close-up. That's very rare, I think.
Yeah, I guess sometimes, people come up who challenge the conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
Maybe in filmmaking, it's Quentin Tarantino. I guess, of this age, I guess maybe in business, it's Steve Jobs and stuff like that. So maybe Francis Ford Coppola was one of them.
True that. And in fact, the thing where you were saying how Don Corleone is introduced, it's not his face that is shown, it's more of a silhouette. Even I think that plays a very strong role, a very important role in showing how strong he is as a character. You see a person whom you instantly empathize because it was his close-up when the movie started. Since you empathize with him and he is practically begging Don Corleone for help, all of a sudden Don Corleone is set up as all of a sudden, at the very beginning itself, Don Corleone is set up as a huge character.
Right.
Okay. And then you hear his name first. And then you see him. So by the time you see him, he doesn't have to look really good or have really good clothing sense in order to be set up as a very respectful guy. You already respect him. His face, when they show the face is only a placeholder for the respect.
So one more part about Don Corleone which I liked was, I guess there is one scene where, I don't know, I guess Don Corleone cries after Sonny's death. So I don't know, I found that expression on Don Corleone's face very peculiar. I mean, with that mouthpiece which he was holding inside his mouth, and to give that expression with that mouthpiece, and as per the character, to give that expression as per the character, it must have been a tough ordeal, but nevertheless it was perfect, that scene.
I agree. In fact, Don Corleone is, though he doesn't spend a lot of time on the camera in the movie, to be honest, but he is definitely the main protagonist. He is definitely like the person people fall in love with instantaneously. And I really love, again coming back to the first scene, the funeral guy is asking Don Corleone's help. The way Don Corleone replies to him. Okay, he says that why did you go to the police first? Why did you not come to me?
Yeah, right.
And then a lot of things happen, and then he's like, I'll pay you anything, Don Carolioni. And he's like, I will not do this for money if you came to me in friendship. Clearly shows that this guy has a really good taste of people. He has a really good sense of judging from a distance what kind of person he or she is. Are they really out for help? Are they really my friends? Or are they here just for my help?
Right. So, but one thing which didn't quite sit well with me, I don't know, maybe it's I just found it absurd, but whenever he does a favor for something, whenever he does a favor for someone, even in the initial scenes, to the funeral guy when he says, okay, justice will be done to your daughter. So he after telling this, he tells that guy, as of today, accept this as a wedding gift on the day of my daughter's wedding. But one day may come when I might ask a favor of you. Until that day, accept it as a gift on my daughter's wedding day.
True.
So that's what he says. So everything, it's a transaction. You do something for someone, it comes on your assets column. It means you can ask for a payback anytime you wish to. So that's, I don't know, maybe.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one part which I didn't feel quite. I don't know, maybe in the Sicilian mafia business it might work like that.
So the truth is, see, everything is a transaction. If you think about it, I don't know. Even among us, among friends, among everyone. Like if I, let's say, I don't know, you call me at 12 o'clock at night. And you say, hey Yash, I'm stuck at Vashi, trains are not working, and it's 12 a.m. Can I come and sleep at your place? If I say yes, and let's say 6 months later I call you and I'm like, hey, I'm stuck at Seawoods and trains are not working, can I sleep at your place? Though you might not be the kind of person, you might be living with your family, you might be living with other flatmates, you might already have some guests down. But now you will have this moral pressure on you that, hey, that time when I was stuck, he helped me, so I should be helping him. Right? So, regardless of what people say, regardless of how crude and cold-hearted this might sound, but everything is a transaction at the end of the day. And when you are a Don, and when you are, they haven't shown that he's an immigrant from Italy, but back then there were a lot of people who were immigrants from Italy. Who were not very well off. Now I'm not saying he was one of them, but it could be. So when you are in one of those situations, that is how you see life. That is how you see life.
But contrast to this, the family bonds in the movie, it's shown as extremely strong. It's shown as extremely strong because one part which shows how much Don Carolioni values family is when he comes to know that his daughter is being subjected to domestic violence in her house.
Yeah.
After being married.
Yeah.
Her husband Carlo mistreats her. And Sonny Corleone was objecting to this every time. But Don Corleone repeatedly says to him, now she has been married, it's a separate thing. Now it's her business and her husband's business. We should not interfere. So again, this coming from someone else, it could have been okay, but this coming from Don Corleone, who could have killed Carlo on the spot. He came to know about his daughter's news, but he just didn't do anything. He just let family work as family.
I don't know. I think I definitely don't think that's right, by the way, for the matter of record. But then I also think that's how a lot of people back then reacted, because let's think about this. This was quite a long time ago. This was in 2020. This wasn't the postmodern era. And I think for a very long time, in our country, at some places, even today in India, people think like that. Once your daughter is married, it's her business. It's her thing now. She is supposed to live with the husband. That is how it should be. Which is sad. Which I know of a lot of cases where it has let domestic violence brew till it really became brutal, till it really became sad, till it was. I just don't know. It happens. People used to do that back then, and I'm not saying it was right, but that was the kind of traditional thinking that people had, and then sadly, some people still do. That once your daughter is married, it is her business. She is supposed to live with her husband. She'll adjust a little. So I'm not saying that was right, but I can see where Don Corleone was coming from.
But there was always a reverse side to it. There was this guy called Tessio,
Okay.
who was very loyal to the family at 1st. But later, when Don Corleone died, and when he felt that the Corleone side was getting weak, he tried to join hands with Barzini. That's visible at the scene in the funeral of Don Corleone when he's talking to Barzini.
Yeah.
But when again the Corleone family came back to power because of Michael's actions after he killed Mowgli in every
And
episode.
everyone, yeah.
He just kills Tessio. I mean, the killing scene is not shown in the film, but it means that an action, how small it may be, it has consequences, and betrayal is not forgiven. I mean,
Betrayal is never forgiven,
Yeah.
to be honest, be it something harsh and brutal in the worlds of, the gangs of New York and not the movie gangs of New York, as in the gangs of New York in Godfather, or be it in any kind of mafia, or be it even in the corporate world, even among friends. I think if somebody betrays, how do you know? How do you know you can trust that person? If somebody betrayed you tomorrow for and told me something, how do I know I can't trust that guy? He won't betray me and go and tell you.
It's true.
So,
But even there's a conflict from that other person's side. Although he is doing something, very unjust, but he also has to decide. Let's say if something happens and he might not be able to feed his family or something like that, so he might have to switch sides. But eventually, you don't know how it will turn out. That's what happened with Tessio. He had to die.
well, it's more of a case of insecurity,
Yeah. True that.
and trust me, insecurities don't lead anywhere. They're always insecure. Following an insecurity is always a dead end. So yeah, I think I personally feel so. And if you follow an insecurity and end up betraying somebody, that's always the end. That's always the end. There's never a way out of that.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, there's a scene in Godfather, okay?
Okay.
So how does Michael Corleone meet Apollonia? There's a scene when he sees that girl for the first time, and there is an expression of awe on his face. I mean,
Can I be honest?
it is in the book. I don't know in the movie.
I haven't seen the book. I haven't read the book. Sorry.
In the book, it is shown as it's a thunderstruck. So thunderstruck happens when you see a really really beautiful girl and you just go nuts. You just you're in a trance. So something like that has ever happened to you?
I think it's absolute bullshit.
It's absolute bullshit.
Can I be very blunt
Yes,
and honest?
yes.
It is absolute bullshit. There is nothing like love at first sight.
Michael Corleone is an exception.
No, I think I saw the movie, and I even when seeing the movie, I was like, nice bullshit, man. Where did you get it? To be honest, like, wow, that's the kind of things reserved for cheapskate Bollywood movies, cheapskate love stories, man, for teenagers who still believe in fairies and I don't know whatever.
You just indirectly mentioned that Francis Ford Coppola took ideas from Bollywood.
Maybe he was watching. I don't know.
Yes, he's taking a flight to Mumbai right now to meet you.
I don't know, man. I love the movie, but the whole idea of him finding her and love at first sight, and I was like, that's lazy script writing, bro. You could have shown her to be, I don't know, a hunter or I don't know. You could have shown a conversation. Somehow they had a conversation, and then he fell for her.
No, I know why Francis Ford Coppola didn't do that. Because she was about to die eventually.
Yeah, she was
about to die. So why spend so much effort on Apollonia?
True that. When you see it from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense. But if you ask me, love at first sight, thunder, trance, all those cool terms.
But even her death
I
felt
don't really believe in
even
it.
her death felt real, but because she was shown as a very, humble.
Okay,
I don't know,
okay,
very
that is
sweet
true,
character.
that is true, that
Although
is true.
I don't think she has got any.
She has any dialogues.
Yeah, but she's shown as a very sweet character.
But to be honest, I saw the movie. I've seen, by the way, so many movies now, and since I was seeing it purely from writing notes perspective, taking out things to learn perspective, I was like, she died, and I was like, yeah, so she died. Cool. Next scene.
Yeah.
So that was like that. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Even there's one scene. Okay, it had a very dramatic effect to it, but I don't think anybody would have done it in real life. It was when Don Corleone sends Tom Hagen to that film director. I don't know, film director or film producer.
Yeah.
And he says that no, I don't do such thing. The role is reserved for another actor. And he ends up, one morning he wakes up and he ends up with the head of his dead horse.
Favorite horse.
Favorite horse on his in his
bed,
yeah,
and he's like, oh my god, what the fuck?
So,
I don't know, man. I haven't been with a mafia.
If I was Don Corleone, I wouldn't ask my subordinates to go and find out his favorite horse and cut his head and put it inside his blanket or something like that. But yeah, nevertheless, such thinking doesn't make sense. It definitely had a dramatic and visual appeal to it.
Oh yeah, it had a really.
It also perfectly showed how capable Don Corleone was. If someone can get a horse's head under your blanket
without you realizing,
the
fucking horse's head, like I don't know, horse head is this big.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it perfectly made a suspense, because when the scene starts with that
there's some
producer
blood on the
sleeping, there's some
blanket.
blood on the blanket. So I felt okay,
Maybe,
his son might have been killed, his daughter might have been
I
killed.
thought he was like.
Yeah, or he might have been killed, but it turns out that there was a.
No, when he starts moving, I thought there must be like a knife in his stomach or something, or maybe like one of the nerves might have been cut in his hand.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just like, they sprayed some fake blood just to scare him.
That thing was a horse's head was like totally unexpected.
Right around just before that scene, how do they show the transition from night when this guy is meeting the producer and everything to the morning? That is really interesting. So I think back in the film days, you couldn't make time lapse for some reason. I don't know, maybe the frame rates were not high enough or low enough or something, or maybe just editing on a computer wasn't a thing. I think Apple wasn't founded yet, so they didn't have Final Cut, which editing on Premiere Pro must have sucked. Hence, they were, what did they do? They just played a few scenes which were actionless. There's nothing much happening. There's just a scene of there's few trees and there's wind blowing through the trees and the leaves are shaking.
But although
that's how they showed the passage of time. Like in modern movies, we use time lapse. So there's like, if you want to show from night to day, you use a time lapse where there's a certain scene, it goes from dark to bright. They took 2-3 such scenes, nothing much happens. You just see a bit of light change and wind blowing and leaves moving, and then it's the day.
But in that scene, I mean, the producer's presence in the entire movie is very minuscule. He comes for a few minutes, not more than that. But just for that, I guess, early morning scene, they hired an entire bungalow. I don't know that it looked like a resort or a.
Yeah, it was like a huge bungalow.
Yeah,
it was a huge bungalow, a huge place.
And I don't know it was the effect of the lighting or not, but I feel that shot was taken early in the morning itself, because the lighting, the sunlight. So? I don't know. The sunlight, everything feels perfect. I don't think lighting could have done it.
Also, you mean it was shot in the golden hour?
Yeah, it was shot. I don't know, in the morning 6:30 or whenever the sun has just faintly risen. At that time, they must have.
So, do you know there is this time span called the golden hour? Right after the sunrise and right before the sunset. Happens twice a day. It is when the sun is at such a position on a particular place that the lighting is just perfect for outdoor photography or outdoor videography. So that is called golden hour. So you're trying to say it was shot in a golden hour.
Maybe. True that.
I know. So there's apps and there's websites. You can enter your location and they'll tell you what is the golden hour for your location today and tomorrow and so forth. Sure, man. The other thing, where you were saying Don Corleone uh, doesn't ask for money. In fact, he says, I will do this not for money, but if you came to me as a friend, I would have done it. And then he says, take this as the wedding gift of my daughter, but one day I'll ask you for a return.
Yeah.
Clearly shows this guy is smart. He's a Don, he's rich, he's Don Corleone. He has maybe not all the money in the world, but he definitely has a lot of money. Like he has a huge mansion and everything. Doesn't need more money, man. So, but he knows that a person like him might run into problems, might run into situations where he might need help. Help as in real help. Help as in like getting him out of the jail. I don't know, maybe even breaking a jail or something. I don't know, the kind of cool stuff mafia people do. So he doesn't ask for money. He's like, one day I'll ask for your favor. So that is a smart thing that you see him do many a times in the movie. You don't see him do many a times in the movie, but he definitely does this regularly. That's how he has politicians and everybody and film stars coming in his daughter's wedding.
True that.
Talking about the cameras and the equipments back then and being shot on film, have you realized there's not a lot of camera tricks? As I told you, the suspense scene didn't have a lot of camera tricks. In fact, among all the notes that I've written here, among all the notes here, I guess only one or two are actual camera tricks.
Okay.
Like there is one trick, which isn't, to be honest, a camera trick. It's more of a lighting trick. In the beginning, the daughter's wedding thing, if you have paid attention, everybody who's in the in his cabin, in his office, they are lit from above. So the funeral guy is lit from above, which means his eyebrows and this part of the skull above the eye casts a shadow on the eye. So the eyes are not visible. Even Lucas, after the funeral, Luca Brasi, after the funeral guy leaves, even Luca Brasi is lit the same way. Hence, Don Corleone can't see their eyes. And the thing is, we as humans, we tend to see eye movement as one of the first things to determine if the person in front of me, the person that I'm conversing with, if he is genuine, trustable or not. Okay. If, let's say, I tell you, man, I don't know, I met your brother and he is not well. He's in a hospital or something, dude. You should go and visit him right now. If I'm looking into your eyes straight up, I'm speaking the truth. If I'm looking elsewhere, if my eyes are wandering, that means I'm cooking it up. That's generally how we as humans work. Since Don Corleone can't see anyone's eyes, it means that he doesn't know if he can trust people or not. He doesn't know when people come to him if they are telling the truth or they are cooking it up.
True that.
Which is like an amazing visual hint in the very beginning of the movie. Just brilliant. But I think that is one of the very few
camera tricks.
In fact, it's not a camera trick, it's a lighting trick. It's not a camera trick.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the movie has very little camera techniques, very little tech, so to speak. But the movie is amazing because how great the story is played out. There is very little cheap tricks. Like honestly, as huge a fan of Martin Scorsese I am, I really think if Martin Scorsese had to make a movie like Godfather, where he was not given a lot of camera tricks, he wasn't given camera tricks, he was given very little, gimbals and drones and all the modern tech. It was only the story that had to pull it off. Even Martin Scorsese would struggle to pull off something as amazing as The Godfather. And I don't say that easily. I don't say that lightly. I am a huge fan of Martin Scorsese, but I think it's just lost in us and the filmmakers of our generation.
Yeah. So this guy was really hell bent on making this movie, and although he directed the movie, the screenplay was written by him and the author of the book.
Okay.
So the screenplay is by both of them, Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola.
Okay.
So this is the pattern that I've usually noticed. If the director and the screenwriter is the same guy, then the film, if it's a good director, then the film usually comes out to be really good. Okay. Like Quentin Tarantino.
Also, one more thing, I saw this movie on Amazon Prime. If I could meet Jeff Bezos, I would really ask him, bro, what the fuck? I know, Jeff, you're listening. Okay, I know you're listening to this, so listen to me carefully. There are two options: subtitles and language. I set the language to English. There was some English auto description something. I didn't go for that. I went for English original. Okay, and in subtitles I went for English. So what happens in the English original audio is there are times when they are speaking in Italian. You know, when they're conversing among themselves, among the family especially, they're talking in Italian. And there is subtitles when they're talking in English. When they're talking in Italian, it reads speaking in Italian. Thank you. I didn't know that. Seriously, Jeff, I know you're listening. Please fix this. Okay, get somebody who knows Italian to write your subtitles. Like, God, I'm sure if I went to English auto description or something, it would translate the Italian into English for me, but that's what subtitles is for. Why should I have to change the language? I should have to change the subtitles.
No, one solution, that I would suggest is
They should outsource subtitles to Learnor, and we can do that for them.
No, you can just copy.
We'll give you a good price, Jeff.
You can just copy the link of that, this thing, and you can send it to the Sicilian mafia and just mention Jeff Bezos' name there. So, they might probably solve the problem. The head would be even easier to chop off because he's already bald.
I don't think I like that joke.
Sorry.
Sorry, Jeff. Don't.
Yes.
Dude, before you know, we'll already be killed. Don't make such jokes. That will get us killed.
Yeah. So by killing, I again remember the killing scene in the end. So okay,
I don't know, but to be honest, I was really pulling my fucking hair out. I'm like, dude, I'm supposed to write notes on this movie. I don't even know what he's talking. How the fuck am I supposed to write? I don't even know. God, I really think. Am I getting something wrong when I say English subtitles? It should translate everything into English and write it down in the bottom. It shouldn't say speaking Italian. I'm like, yeah, I know he's speaking Italian. I do not support piracy. But there are times like these when I could have just downloaded the movie from torrent and got a SRT file which would perfectly work. Perfectly work. I really hated when companies leave us as viewers with no choice but to go to torrent and download a movie. And it's just not movies, by the way. I think in a future podcast episode, I'm going to talk about. You remember this game, Need for Speed Most Wanted?
Yes.
I think it was a brilliant game. It was one of the most sold Need for Speed games ever. They sold something 15 million copies, some 15 million odd copies. For 15 million copies sold, it should be really easy to get your hands on a CD, DVD, a copy of the game, right? It's not. It's not. Getting a game of a copy is so difficult. You might just go on torrent and download it. Again, I do not support piracy, but for a game that sold 15 million copies, EA Sports can do better. If they are not doing it better, it's not anybody else's fault. It's their fault. But yeah, coming back to Don Carolioni? Carolioni?
Yeah.
My God, difficult names, man. Italian people have difficult names, I think.
So have you noticed that the peculiarity in the ending killing scene? So
Sorry?
The peculiarity in the killing scene. So in the end, during the killing scenes, there is no music. There is no music. The background voice is, again, as you said, it's being spoken in Italian, and the words were that of the priest who was doing the baptism for Michael's son. The priest's sermon was going on, and simultaneously they were showing shots of people being killed. Mogin being killed, Barzini being killed, and the gunshots.
So see, that is the thing. I could understand it was baptism because I saw church, I saw a child. What else it could be?
And it was scary. That's the best part. It was scary.
Yeah,
with the priest's sermon too, it was scary. No music. Okay, once the shot was fired, there was music for 1 or 2 seconds. But other than that, it's just the priest's sermon going on the whole time when people were being killed.
I agree, man. I agree. Also, one thing I noticed. Even I have written that in my notes, by the way. Michael seems like this nice guy who's like, I'm a civilian. The beginning of the movie, he's just a civilian. He's like, that's my family, that's not me. But, boy, oh boy. Nice guy, tell me about it.
Of course, when your dad's life is, the question mark,
Yeah.
definitely take adverse actions.
I also really loved one thing. When Don Corleone is shot and these guys are sitting in the house, and some guy comes to Sonny and he's like, there is a courier on the door.
Okay.
The courier is basically fishes wrapped in Luca's body armor. So the guy who comes in, Sonny is really angry at him at first. He's like, what the fuck, don't you see I'm doing something really important? There's a meeting going on. But then he's like, there's a courier, and a guy goes and gets the courier. So then Sonny asks that guy, hey, you had food or something? You want some food? There is food. There's brandy. Have some brandy, it will help you.
Okay.
I really like that, Though he is a short-tempered guy, though he is the son of a huge don, maybe the biggest don. But he's really humble. And he's really caring for people who work with him. He could, I don't know, throw a fucking hell on his face, man. Like, my dad just got shot. What the fuck do you want? You want food? Go fuck yourself. My dad just got shot. And he was like, hey, there's some food. Do you want some food? Do you want some brandy? It will help you. I think, especially when you try to keep yourself in his position, I don't think I can pull that off, man. When your dad is shot, it's really difficult to ask the other guy, did you have some food? It's like, fuck food, bitch. Yeah, that's something that really touched me at that point. Okay, another thing that I think is that the movie was dubbed, as in the audio was not shot at the same time as the video. I think the entire movie, because there's a few. So I have edited quite a lot of videos, and few of my projects included videos which are dubbed. Okay, so that is one thing, and that's what gives me the context. And the other thing is, back then a lot of movies were dubbed. I don't know, maybe film cameras could not record audio the way digital cameras do. Like, digital cameras make a MP4 or MOV or a red raw file, something like that. I think there is no. I have never used films, by the way, so I have no clue. But I think there was no way to store audio on a film. Maybe it was that, or I don't know, whatever the reason. Like, I know for a fact that Lagan was India's, Bollywood's first mainstream big budget movie, which was not dubbed, which had something called live sound, which is basically how you and me shoot, how everybody shoots.
Okay.
You turn on the camera, it also records the audio and the video. So Lagan was the first big budget mainstream movie to do that in India. So when you're talking about Godfather, it was shot many years before Lagan. And back then I have heard so that it was a commonplace for audio to be dubbed in a separate audio proof, like audio treated room. So and it really shows at some places. I think so. I may be wrong. I'm not sure. Do you think the movie was dubbed, or you never noticed the difference?
I didn't quite notice the difference. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't observe it that well when I watched it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's all my points. You tell me. Is there anything else you wanna say?
Yeah, that's it. Loved the movie, but
Please, Jeff Bezos, get your subtitles right.
Yeah.
Like, aren't you like the richest man, bro? Like, get a good subtitle. Okay, no offense. I think it was really a piss poor. Every time they started speaking in Italian, and it was like, speaking Italian. I'm like, thank you. Should I like call Enzo Ferrari now to translate this for me? Like, what the fuck, man? So, yeah. Other than that, I think I really loved the movie, man. I loved the dark color theme.
Yeah, this is something yet to, I have to figure it out. What kind of tint one should use to portray a particular kind of vibe. Every great director does that. Even Francis Ford Coppola has done that, but it's not in terms of editing, but I'm just visually trying to understand how they do it.
Wow. I agree, man. A lot of the movies shot in the dark at night.
Yeah. the David Fincher films, the tint has got a darkness to it. You know that someone is about to get killed or fucked up.
I know. That's very true. In fact, some Bollywood movies tried it in really creative ways. I think Shootout at Wadala or Lokhandwala, one of
I guess
those,
Lokhandwala
had this very yellowish.
it should have been it should be, I guess, Lokhandwala, because it was quite good. So it was a good movie.
I saw that as a kid. I think I'd have to see the movie again in order to really talk about it. But I remember it had this very yellow tint to it. Like the whites were yellow and the yellows were orange in that movie.
I guess Sriram Raghavan tried it in Badlapur, but it's a Bollywood movie, Badlapur, but he couldn't manage to pull that off, I guess, after watching it. But in Andhadhun, he managed to do it.
I think also a movie. I think DC movies, all the DC movies pull this tint thing really well. If you have seen Joker,
Okay.
Joker did a decent job at it. Joker did a really. Is Joker strictly a DC movie, so to speak?
I think so, because if you're making a movie on the
DC character.
yeah, you got to take.
I
the
think
rights.
Suicide Squad pulled it off really well.
Okay.
All the Dark Knight movies, well, they are in a different league of their own, just legendary movies, I think. But yeah, I think Dunkirk even pulled. Dunkirk is just brilliant. I think we can make an episode on Dunkirk.
Sure.
Dunkirk is just a brilliant movie. It just shakes you from within, man. Well, yeah, that is it. Anything else you want to say, or should we end this episode?
No, just that, if you haven't watched Godfather yet, you should watch it.
You should watch it, and
if Amazon's
if Amazon, when you're watching
download
and Amazon has still not fixed the subtitle thing, please call Jeff and tell him, bro, what the hell, bro? I paid all the money, man. I want my money back. No, I don't know, up to you. You want to tell him that? Tell him that. And tell us which other movies you would want us to make an episode on, which other movies should I watch. And yeah, I guess that is it for today's episode. Thanks a lot for watching, listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should subscribe. You can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And some of you have subscribed, but you haven't told your friends that this is the best podcast in the world. What the hell, man? I'm watching. Just kidding, guys. Take care. Thanks a lot.